Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, Chad is on the phone and he's wondering what's the snag, what's the holdup with exhuming Abby's body. Jack is banging on the door and he's like, oh, okay. So he comes in, he's pissed. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting there trying to desecrate my daughter's grave and everything like that? Like, he's just livid. And so finally, Chad is like, because the client told me that he was alive, that she was alive. He's in disbelief. He's like, why would he sit there and say that? He's a liar. He's this, he's that, he's the third. You're not doing this. I'm going to fight you on this. Chad is like, I got proof. So he shows him the video and everything. And he's still just in disbelief. He's like, part of him wants to believe it, but the other part of him is just like, it's very grainy. Why would Clyde sit there and give you proof of a grainy video when you can't even really sit there and see her face? Chad is like, at this point, there's only one way to find out. Now, he does sit there and say it's too late to sit there and get an injunction on, trying to stop the process from starting. But he does sit there and say, hey, listen, if you really don't want to do this, let's start right here now. But, them will never know. So they get down to the gravesite, and obviously, most likely he's going to sit there and say, yes, just do it. I got to know. He feels hella wrong about doing this. But at the same time, and also, let's just be honest, it's not like people haven't come back from the dead before. Listen, if you got Marlena being possessed by the devil, yeah, it is totally possible that your daughter could be alive. And also, I heard it wasn't the first time that she was dead, but then she wasn't dead, so, yeah. Now, I don't understand Bonnie. I'm trying to understand Bonnie. Bonnie's not there talking to Justin about Teresa, her motivations and everything. And what she basically says is, yeah, even though that she signed the papers, it doesn't mean that she's not there for the money. It's called the, what do they call it? The long con. Just kind of hanging out, eating bonbons all day and this, that, and the third, and just not really have to work or anything like that, Um, just because she may not make off with this money doesn't mean that she's not going to sit there and enjoy the privileges of being with somebody who's rich. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with going for somebody who has financial means and stuff like that. Because let's be honest, love only goes so far. Let's just be real. But after they talk about that, she heads over to. I'm just like, does she not actually work or anything like that? I guess she doesn't have a job or something. So saying, um, she goes to Sarah's place and she brings up the idea of the double wedding, and she really pushes it. And Sarah's like, but Xander don't like Alex or Teresa. Like, he can't stand them. And she's like, yeah, but I think it'll be really good. And I'm just sitting there just looking at both of those women. I'm just like, y'all both don't give a damn what Xander wants. Okay? Because Sarah has been pushing for this whole, oh, we got, Victoria got to sit there and get to know her grandmother. We should invite her to the wedding multiple times, even though he clearly does not want this woman there. And Bonnie's like, oh, I think it'd be really good for you, for unity and this and that and the third. Did you not hear her say that he can't stand those two, and yet you're still sitting there pushing? So again, we just don't give a damn about what Xander wants. We don't really care about his feelings. We'll say we do, but we'll still sit there and push our own agenda on what we think is best, regardless of how he feels. Now Justin does come in, and Xander. Well, actually, Xander comes in. I didn't really understand that. So Xander, once again, comes up without a shirt because he's running and everything. And he comes up to Leo to get some drink of water because, I don't know, it's this new running joke or gag or something. And, he's in the middle of writing his column, whatever, about the whole Gabby and EJ thing. And Xander's like, hey, you wanna get something to eat or whatever, it's my treat or whatever, you can sit there and call it an expense account or whatever. And for some odd reason, Leo's like, no, I don't really think it's a good idea. And I'm just like, why? I mean, why? I don't understand. I mean, I know he's been lusting at the Xander for a hot minute, and even if he's not gonna try to do anything, I don't really understand why not just have something to eat, hang out, and just whatever. He's just like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't really understand why he said no. I don't get that. Anyway, Xander goes in, talks to Justin. Justin is surprised that Xander turned him down. There's a point where they're talking, and Justin is still kind of in disbelief about Alex not being his son. Hell, actually, to tell you the truth, this happened years ago. The first time when the paternity was in question, and they did a DNA test, and it came back that Alex was his son. So even though that Justin's like, well, Victor just wouldn't have just gave him all this money, his whole estate, practically, if it wasn't any proof. But there's just this gut feeling that he still feels like he is Alex's father. And he's still worried about him as far as this whole prenup and everything. Um, so while that's going on, Leo is, I don't know, maybe just talking to himself, monologuing, usually like a DC villain or whatever. And then this guy named Carrie comes up, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of yours. I really love your paper, and this, that, and the third." And then he's just like, "So, you wanna go someplace more private?" And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to random hookups or whatever. Especially like you said, he was a fan, he was a groupie or whatever. Which, by the way, I feel like the word groupie is like somewhat pretentious. It's like when people sit there and say that they're an influencer. Like, I generally hate saying that. But anyway, they go back to his hotel or whatever because for some odd reason, soap opera characters don't live in apartments anymore or anything like that. They just live in hotels. But then they hook up or whatever. I think like I said, I think his name is Carrie or something. It seems so random, but I guess that's just how random hookups are. Um, and people in my chat has been they're saying, well, there's going to be a love triangle between Carrie and Mark and Leo, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm not a fan of love triangles, but I also do think that Carrie is up to no good. I do think that I do feel like he might be up to no good. I feel like there's more than just the fact that he may have been attracted to him. I have no idea what, but I don't think it's just a random hookup. Now, Teresa is looking at yachts, and I forgot his name for some reason. This is what happens when you watch all four soft operas. It does kind of sometimes take you a second. And I was just like, oh, you mean buying a yacht and this, that, and the third? And they're talking about the prenup and everything. And there's a point where Teresa seems like she's not really for the whole prenup thing. Like, she's kind of annoyed by it. I don't know, she feels insulted. But I'm just like, boo, you have a history of being a gold digger. Okay, you have a history of being a gold digger. Why are you so like? Oh, I just feel so insulted. Well, boo, you have a history of that. Okay, so like seriously, calm yourself. And then you start signing the paper and stuff like that, and she's all kind of like, I don't know, getting offended by some of the legal jargon or whatever. There's one point, right, where it's like if she cheats, then she doesn't get anything. But if he cheats, it's totally fine. And I'm like, well, I mean, he is the one with the fortune. Like, I don't. I don't know how that's actually supposed to work. I mean, I guess if he cheats, then I don't know. I mean, it's not their fortune; it's literally his fortune. So it's not like she would actually get anything if he cheated. Now, if it was joint money or whatever, then I can see it going either way. After that, they talk to Maggie, and Maggie or Teresa, I forgot who. Somebody brings up the whole double wedding thing, and Xander's like, yeah, I don't know about that because I can't even be civil with Xander, let alone stand next to him on my big day. But Maggie just kind of pushes it. She's all like, oh, family unity and this, that, and the third. And eventually they come around to it. And I'm just like, so this whole double wedding is going to wind up happening. Plus, I think Maggie was sitting there bringing up some fun times of when she had her double wedding years ago, with I guess this guy named Mickey on Valentine's Day. So eventually they decide to do it. Bonnie gets the call. She's all super happy and super giggly or whatever about it. I think that they're just kind of pushing it. I mean, you can have family unity without necessarily having a double wedding. Like, you can be civil to each other. I don't think that having a wedding is going to automatically fix whatever problems that they actually had with their relationship. So I don't really understand. I don't get the huge push for it. Like, maybe we could just be civil. I think that's kind of enough. But yeah, it seems like this whole double wedding is going to go on, which is actually perfect when you stop to think about it. Because if there's going to be some sort of big reveal, like, I don't know, Xander is Victor's son and not Alex, I think that's definitely the place to do it. I think it's just more how they got there. I think that's probably that's my one hiccup. Um, the last time that they had a double wedding, Xander brought that up with Gwen and everything, and how much that was a disaster. He said it was a disaster because he wasn't married to the right woman. Kind of disagree on that, but I think it was the fact that it was a disaster on both fronts between Leo and him. I don't even understand how they actually wound up doing that. I don't even understand how they actually wound up doing that double wedding the last time. And I remember actually being there watching it. That's still just baffling. Okay, now there's one point where Bonnie's in the theater thinking about the letter that didn't, or the invitation that didn't get sent, and she's about to sit there and question Sarah about it. But then Xander gets there, and she's like, "Oh, we'll talk about it later, or whatever." Does she think that? I have this feeling that she thinks that Sarah was the one that threw out the invitation. And I'm just like, well, why would she think that Sarah would actually throw out the invitation when she was the one that was literally spearheading this whole let's bring Xander's mom to the wedding? Now, I think she might have said something along the lines of maybe people were getting in your head, or maybe Xander was getting in your head, but it just didn't seem like it made a lot of sense. So I don't know what that part was about. Anyway, I can't think of anything else, but as I always sit there and say, if I forget anything, come to the live stream tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about all the shows, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and Restless, and I will see you in the next video or live stream.